Right. Hi, everybody. Well, welcome to Lunch Learn today. I'm Jeremy. I'll be leading our call today, doing my best to answer any questions and things that we have. So if we have any questions, I see quite a few people are already flocking in for now. If you got any questions, please post them in the Q&A and I'd be happy to discuss. So I'll give it a couple minutes for anyone else to join or people to ask some questions. If you don't have any questions, that's okay. I can just kind of take a look at a couple things until we come up with any or uh, whatever. We'll see kind of how everyone goes. While we wait for any questions to get typed or anyone else to join, I'll just point out a couple things here on our presentation slide here. The obligatory check out our YouTube channel. There's a lot of good stuff on there. Try to update things and post good content. Yesterday, we just put out a video all about rule sets, kind of going a deep dive into how rule sets work, not just the basics of it, but also kind of some general use case examples as well. So you can kind of have a good idea of how to use some of the different types of rule sets and see if any of them fit for any interests that you might have. We also have a webinar that's tomorrow. So if you want to go check that out, you can register on our website and get access to the webinar. So that's pretty cool. And then, a couple other changes and things like the doc bot that you can access and support chat and stuff that's really good if you have questions that may lead you in some good directions. So I'll give it another minute if anyone has any questions. Otherwise, I'll just kind of hop over to decisions and poke around a little bit for some time. But again, post questions in the Q&A if you have anything. All right. Well, if we don't have any questions, I can kind of just showcase a couple things or poke around a little bit at some interesting things that Decisions has. So you at least see something since we got five of you in here. Maybe you'll learn a little bit something. Um, I haven't looked at formulas in a little while. I can poke around this a little bit. This is a really cool feature that we've added in 9.3. Oh, actually, maybe not. Maybe I'll come back to that because we actually do have a question. All right. All right. Megan did ask a question. I'll give you the ability to talk if you'd like to um, expand. Hello, is there a step that is like the create defined entity step? I'm trying to use that to add an entity to a flow execution extension. I think create defined entity is only for simple data structures.
Hello, can you hear
Hello?
me?
Yes,
Hi.
I can hear you.
Yes, so basically what I'm trying to do, um, so I have this project where when there's like a list of manufacturers and you can select those in a drop down in my form. But if there's no manufacturer in this drop down, you can enter it manually. And once it gets approved, I want that manufacturer to get added into this drop down. And before I had this set up as a simple data structure since that data was coming from an Excel, but I've since moved all of that information, all that data into my flow execution data, and I can't figure out how to, I don't think it's saving into my flow extension, execution extension data structure like it was when it used to be a simple data structure. And so for that, I was using a create define entity step inside my flow. And so it was able to add like what I needed it to add basically, but I've been testing and for some reason the only step I could find that was similar was a save entity step. Um, but it just doesn't work for me. So I was wondering if you knew of anything else I could try.
Got it. Okay. What version are you running on?
Uh, Let me check. I think 8 point, uh, give me 1 second to double check. Sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
We're on 8.12.
812. Okay. I just need to get a version 8 instance because that definitely changes a little, quite a few things.
Mm,
Um, the main reason is the flow execution extension we actually don't use. We've deprecated that in the later versions, so I definitely can't show anything related to that in my
dang.
version 9 instance. The which I will point out like briefly too. The reason we've done that is there's a lot of things you can do with a flow execution extension that you can just do with a case entity in the exact same way, pretty much. So in a lot of use cases, case entities tend to be the better option for something like that. Just something to something more to consider maybe in the future, but that's the main reason why I can't look at the version 9 instance to show this real quick. I'm just going to create just a quick sample here so I can reference it. All right, let's create a quick flow. Okay, so again, just to clarify, you're talking about like a way to save a new entity in this flow execution extension, correct?
Yeah,
Someone
like
picks up something
after,
on the dropdown, it doesn't exist. They want to make a new one.
yeah,
So you want to save it so that in future that can be referenced again, essentially.
yes.
Okay. Oh, that's not how you spell that. All right, and then you were using, what was the step you said that you were using that doesn't work?
It was before I was using a create define entity step, and then right now I'm testing the what's it called again? It's called the save entity step.
Got it. So, one thing, if you're using a user-defined type, you may find like something that you need that's specific to that user-defined type.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in the user-defined types category at the bottom. So, like flow execution extension, for example, can be found under flow data extensions. So this is the test one that I just built real quick, right? And there's a number of specific ones. Like save entities should also work, should often work, but sometimes there's like little intricacies or things that can make that a little difficult. But if you're always looking for like a specific way to save an individual item, sometimes you can easily find it. Like you have your own database structure, you'll find database creation, deletion, fetching specific steps that are
Mm-hmm.
like more specific. So this might also achieve what you're looking for, where if I just build data here, right, it's got all the extra details as well as the items that are specific that I added here. So then I could do that same thing, right? Have
Mm-hmm.
this come from your form, the input of whatever's required or needed from whatever gets selected in the process, and this should save it for you. 'Cause normally save entities would work as well, but I think sometimes that is a saving changes. It may not necessarily save new items.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
Depending on the data structure, in many cases I think it does, but it might be with flow execution extensions it doesn't, and that may be part of the problem.
I see. So I should try just a safe step and then map everything in that way?
I think that's one thing worth. And then the
Okay.
other thing too, with flow execution extensions, I think you need like the some kind of process thing, which is a big part of flow execution extensions. Um, I know in our earlier projects, some of our training projects, we used to use a flow execution extension for the training for the one of the first training projects, and we would use a setup process folder. But the key is the flow execution extension uses process data. So you'll need like if this doesn't work, which I'd have to, do some testing to figure out 100% if it doesn't. But I know for sure that this is another thing that we do a lot um, with things is to create like a folder where you could save all the data into it. So then you can have all of your flow execution extension items saved into the folder. You could use extension data, so then you can pick that data type that you created. And then in addition to, having details about the folder, you could have your this, which would also save the data there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and VT put in the chat as well that you would need to use a save process data step, something like this to actually save the data because of the way flow execution extensions work, you actually need to save that data properly, and that's probably why just a regular save entity step doesn't work in the same way.
Got it.
So hopefully that it gives you at least a few things you can test out and lead you in the right direction there.
Yeah, I'll definitely try that.
All
But yeah,
right.
that's all for me.
Okay,
Thank you.
great. Yeah, no problem. Anyone else in the chat today have any questions? Feel free to post them in the Q&A. I got nothing else. I can give it a little time. I don't want to just abruptly end. I'll give it like another couple minutes if anyone comes up with anything, so we don't end too quickly. I'll kind of show formulas a little bit. This is a really cool concept that was added in 9.3, I believe, is when we added it. Um, so in version 8 and stuff like that, obviously you won't have access to this. But in the later versions of version 9, we have the formulas. Formulas are really cool, like functions that you can add to adjust different types of logic and things so that previously you would need to have built yourself, built into a flow or built into a rule somehow and different things like that. And a lot of people wanted to use or like set up these things. And so formulas are a really cool way to actually do that. It's not just mathematical formulas. In some cases, there are other, ways like the description here says Excel-like functions, right? A lot of the things you can think about you could do in an Excel file, you could do in a formula. But the designer's kind of neat. It looks a little different than some of the normal designers because it doesn't make like a full designer with like properties on the right side and the toolbox on the left. It looks like this, where you can set up your input data. You still have the ability to set up unit tests, and you can integrate with this with an API service if you want. So similar to how like rules, you can set up that. Uh, but then you have a list of functions, and our documentation has lists on a lot of what they do, but a lot of them also will have a little icon that gives you details about what they actually do. So if you're looking for the details and even an example of how it would work with an actual the function data inside it and what the result would be. There's a lot of good information on how they work. So yes, there's like mathematical ones. There's a number of popular, financial functions for people that are using any kind of financial services. There's conditions, so you can actually create a rule to check a condition. Obviously, you could do this in like a regular rule, but if you wanted to in this, you can combine it with other functions, right? You can nest them inside each other. So there's a lot of things you could do with it. Um, the This is pretty cool. Um, uh, Checking date things, so you can add days or check dates in time frame and get data for those. Um, you can manipulate or replace values in strings. There's a lot of pretty cool functions in the formula designer. So I just thought I'd point that out real quick and waiting to see if we come up with any other additional questions. But then aside from that, you can just go ahead and add your functions in here. You can type in values if you wanted to put constant values. You can simply just type them in. If you had an input of some kind, like if I put a number in here as like a variable with a number, I can actually put that, and you'll see if I start to type this in, it pops up for me as an option. So I can actually select that, and then I could use that input to test my data, run it, and it'll show me exactly how it runs, what the answer is, what the final output is, different things like that. So there's some pretty cool things you can do. Um, and you can actually build function or formulas inside rules. You can build them inside flows. You can create them uh, from the create rule designer. There's a formula section. So there's a lot of cool things you can do with that um, and everything. So we do have one more question. So I can take a look at that real quick. And then I think if we don't have anything else, we can end it for the day. So VT asks, can you use some learning action models to teach decisions to build flows and rules via prompt like ChatGPT? I'll let you expand on that if you have anything further to add. If you have anything else you wanted to bring up about it.
Not too much, but there's a concept on where you can use like a learning action model, which is based on the AI, and you basically say, "This is my UI," and uh, you basically teach AI how to use different components. It's not based on the HTML tags. It's based on basically visual recognition. And then after it learns how to perform some actions, you can just prompt to do some stuff using the AI, not the text-based.
Hmm, interesting. Yeah, I don't quite know enough about that to know how much we have the capability of doing. Um, it wouldn't surprise me if some people are thinking like have that idea on their minds because obviously if you've been following a lot of the release things, we have been working a lot on some of the AI functionality and decisions. So it wouldn't surprise me if some people have been thinking about that. You can see here there's a lot of different AI modules that you can add just to have, and this isn't exactly what you're talking about. That this is obviously just using AI and flows to help, you know, it send in inputs and outputs to have the AI like react to things inside your flows. So it wouldn't surprise me if some people have been thinking about that, but to my knowledge, I don't know if we have any like specific examples or if anyone's actually tried using that, at least in the function that you're describing. Sounds cool, but I'm not 100% sure if we've actually done that.
Okay.
All right, neat question. All right. Well, anyone else? Anything else? Last chance. Okay. Well, I think we'll go ahead and end this a little bit early today. It looks like most of the people that had joined in the beginning have also dropped off anyway, so we're kind of already dwindling in numbers. So we'll go ahead and end that for today. Thank you for those of you that joined and chimed in and everything. One last quick reminder. oh, Um, One last quick reminder again, if you want to check out that webinar we got tomorrow, or any of our other things and decisions, make sure you go ahead and check those out. All the information is right here. Thank you all for joining for today, and we'll see you tomorrow for the last Lunch and Learn of the week. Have a great day, everybody.